All right, my name is Capacitance, and I have a special treat, at least for me, and hopefully for you guys too, is that I am with the Pink Pistol, and I very much enjoy his content, and so I'm hoping that everyone will get an opportunity to learn a little bit more about him, and of course subscribe to him because he's fantastic. How you doing, Pink?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
So, you and I have had several conversations via, the Twitter, and I just wanted to get an opportunity to sort of learn a little bit more about you and also express my appreciation for your videos because I very much enjoy watching them.
That's really good
So,
to hear, man. Thank you.
so tell me about your start, man. Tell me what was your motivation and what sort of kicked off the I am the Pink Pistol.
All right. So I guess the way that I would start this story is that I used to be very active in streams and comment sections and stuff like that, but I would never really go on anyone's stream or talk. I would just be in the chats and I would be in the comments. And especially on videos that I really disagreed with, I would just write paragraph after paragraph and debunk after debunk, and I would try to convince people. But then I realized nobody's reading these. They're too long because I wasn't reading anybody else's really long comments. I was watching videos. So I figured why not apply that and say, well, if you want to be heard, just put it out there. And so I started recording. Uh, Actually, my first video on the channel was because I watched a Vernaculus response video to some BuzzFeed 33 questions white people have for white people, where they all just go white guilt for like 4 minutes.
Right.
And I had a lot more to say about that video than he said in his. And I was just like writing a really, really long comment. I was like, wait a minute, no one's going to read this. So I plugged in this old microphone my friend gave me into my computer. I opened Audacity, I played the video, and then I recorded all of the things that I had to say about it. And I put it up, and I think Vernaculus might have been like the only one to watch it at the time because I sent it to him. I was like, hey, you didn't touch on these things in the video. And I just kept going. I had more after that. It wasn't really response videos for a while. It was more just general rants about topics because editing response videos is a little tedious.
It's really tedious.
Oh, it's you gotta cut the videos, the exact points that you're responding to. You gotta cut your audio.
You got to
It's
match
yeah,
the audio. You got to make it
yeah,
sound good. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
You have
there's a
to
lot there.
limit and compress both audio so that they line up level.
Which, by the way, for those who do response videos, and if you don't like match up the audio from your source and then
Then
yourself,
fuck you.
you kind of fuck off because
I
you know
have
it's
that problem
terrible.
when I watch Dr. Randomer Cam videos because he never does that. And so it's usually that he's either too loud or the video is. And
And
just
you
fix
know,
your shit, man.
I mean, I really, Dr. Random McCam, we love you, but I've got two problems with Random McCam, and it's I actually have the same problem with Andy Worski, which
What's that?
is that there's a line where you can be like buzzed and funny, and then there's a line that you're drunk and irritating. And
Ah,
and I think that Worski tends to go over that line quite a lot. And I mean, I understand maybe that's his motivation is he just like gets hammered and gets on air,
I just thought that
but
was his accent.
I think he's drunk because I've heard him do other streams where he doesn't sound that way. It's just a different energy about him. But I think they both have the same problem where there's a line that gets crossed at some point, and Random Cam's audio is terrible generally,
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
but good
But
content though.
absolutely, I was gonna say that they make really great videos. Aside from that. I don't think Andy Worski is drunk. I don't know if I would throw that out there as an accusation or anything like that, just because I
Yeah,
think maybe he just slurs.
it could be that way. I just because I've heard him speak differently in streams as opposed to his video content. I'm just like wondering. I'm wondering if that's a factor. I'll have to ask him sometime. I'm gonna put that out on Twitter and ask Worski if he's drunk.
But yeah,
Hopefully he
usually,
won't be offended because I do like his videos, but
usually Dr. Randomcam is very like open about how much he's drinking, and he makes it a joke in the video.
well, generally he's
I
drinking on camera.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that really. I wish he didn't, because I feel like I'd get more out of him sober.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like a version of stage fright though,
Yeah, probably. Actually, yeah, that could be it too.
because I think it takes a lot to be able to put your opinions out there, and especially when you've got a larger following content. I mean, people are going to respond. Then you have that live feedback to deal with.
I'm actually more open to that than I think most people are, because I prefer watching response videos than reading comments. It's just easier, obviously, but also it's a level playing field. If
How so?
somebody doesn't like my video, like this one time I did it was like one of those collaboration videos where one YouTuber gets 20 YouTubers to add different pieces into the same video.
Right.
And it was Tyler Preston 20, and he asked us all to do a response, or not a response, but questions that statists have for anarcho-capitalist. And so I asked mine, and then it ended up in like 5 different videos. Like that guy T did a response to it, and Perp and Orange did a response to it, and a lot of people, Anarchy Ball, when he was called that, did a response to it. And I was actually just happy to watch. I was happy to hear their opinions and hear. I would rather somebody go to the effort of doing the same thing that I'm doing when it comes to that. It feels more level that way.
Yeah, I guess if you're using the same platform, it kind of feels more like a conversation, albeit delayed.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, that's got to be fun. I haven't participated in any of those yet, as far as the collaboration videos.
Hey, who knows, man? I might do one, so you're on
I'll
the list,
I'll
definitely.
keep the ears out just in case. That being said, though, with the level playing field, um, I think that there is a responsibility that we all have as content creators or people that are putting their information out into the world to at least be honest. And like I said, I very much enjoy your videos, and one of the reasons why is because there is a sincerity to what you're saying. At least that's what it feels like to me. Either you're an amazing actor, or
Which I'm not.
you sort of put yourself out there in a very real, very substantial way.
I mean,
So
yeah. Anyone will tell you this. I just sort of I talk the same way in videos that I do in real life.
well,
I'm just
that's good.
I get angry about things, and then I yell about them
Well,
on and I
of the
record.
people that I don't necessarily watch all that often, they tend to be the people that maybe, let's say that they're funny or they make really good points, but there's a certain amount of you can kind of feel that they're playing to a character, right? That
Hmm.
this isn't it may be what they feel, and it may be even their own words, of course, but the delivery just doesn't feel like you can connect with them. You don't feel like you are a part of that conversation. It's like you're watching some type of show. And so one of the things I like about your videos is that they do feel very real. It feels like you're having that conversation with me.
Yeah, I
And
really appreciate that.
I like that part of it. And
Uh,
that's one of the things that, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that vernaculus video with the white people responding to white people thing from BuzzFeed. Is that's one of the videos that pushed me over the edge to start doing this. And it started a couple of years ago with a guy named Internet Aristocrat.
oh my goodness.
and he did a series on called Tumblerisms, and they were terrible audio quality, but they were just they were real, and they were just this look at this motherfucker, you know. And there was something beautiful about the way that he was going after this, and it wasn't necessarily in a cruel way, but it was funny. And that's what sort of started me down this rabbit hole. And then I ran across Vernaculus and Bearing when he started. And, you know, there's a few of these other sort of names that were like, these guys are making really good points. And Vernaculus, I have to say, is I find him to be one of the most likable people when it comes to all of like the internet drama and the points that he makes. Is it's nice to find somebody that looks to, or at least tries to appear objective. And
Yeah, I do have like I don't want to say an issue with it, but like sometimes I see a lot of people who claim to be in the middle of it.
right.
They don't want to say that they're left. They don't want to say that they're right, which you can say that you're not either. You can say that you're neither of them. But in the middle, that would imply that you have a perfect collection of left and right opinions that just add you up into the middle. So I like when they say I'm a centrist. I just say I don't align with either political affiliation, and I leave it there. Because if I tried to, I would be lying about some of my positions. I won't. I just don't.
Yeah, when people ask me about my political affiliation, the most honest answer that I give is, and this is the answer I give all the time, which is that I don't neatly fit into either political party. And you know, I have views that will align with either side, but at you know, I can't fit neatly into one side and then feel like I belong there. And so, and I think most of the people that I enjoy, my friends in real life, and the people that I enjoy online, tend to have some type of centrality to them, right? Some type of, yeah, you can see that they feel for both sides, but I do not deal well with anybody who's extreme, right? Anybody that's like hard left, hard right, and I have a hard time with that.
I think the reason for that, because I feel the same way. I think the reason for that is because it means that they're open to hearing anything from either side and
Yeah,
changing their opinion when it's challenged.
right. And if you find somebody that's fanatical about their belief, once it becomes a religion for them, then you know there's almost no point in that conversation. And so, and I think that you deal with things like religion as face value, as the word implies, or things like feminism, or even on the other side, like the hard MRAs or the MGTOWs and any of that stuff. You know, once that becomes a object of faith, once it becomes and you've been become indoctrinated, or that there are tenets to your belief system, then I feel like I can't talk to you, man.
Yeah, when there becomes a bunch of truths that can't be disputed, whether or not they're not true.
Right. If you can't be introspective about your belief system, there's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's so I agree with you when it comes to liking YouTubers who don't necessarily go one way or the other or identify in that sense.
Right. Yeah, and there's a few that I can think of that have that edge to them, and they're still enjoyable, like AIU as an example.
Mm,
He's got
oh God.
he's got some interesting points, but I think that the problem with him is that the personality defect that he has is that I think first of all he plays to a character. I think that just by listening to him, I think he tries to be as edgy as he possibly can, and and I think that's hurtful to him, to himself, really, because I think if he decided to take some energy and put it into you know, being a little more constructive with the message, whereas not trying to alienate and ban everyone, that he could probably do a pretty decent job. But
Well, yeah, I mean, if he had a reason behind the things that he said, I'm sure people would listen. But it seemed like the only option was agree or get banned.
right.
So yeah, that was a bit of a shit show back when that whole thing happened with the docs. And I did a response video to Amazing Atheist because he started trying to defend his
Right.
actions. And
I had very, very angry flying monkeys with me because, you know, as we were discussing, my day job sort of involves technology. And one of the things I do is I teach people how to be safe and as far as being online and all of that stuff. And I just put out this tweet that said, you know, this is kind of his fault because of weak security. And man, people were not having that. They were like, they're trying to say that I
victim
was like a
blaming,
rape apologist.
victim blaming. Oh no.
Yeah, and I was just like, what? You know, if you are a victim of your own doing, right? That is the definition of karma. All right, it's not some weird spiritual bullshit that comes back to get you. That's your own decisions coming back to haunt you. And they were really mad at me, man. And it was when I first started doing this, as far as putting myself out there online. And they came by and like, downvoted all the videos that I had and were really unkind to me. But it's there's a certain amount of realism that you have to be able to accept responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah. Uh, Actually, I was thinking about this, um, and it's a bit of it's a bit off topic, but I was just remembering how that is the most viewed video on my channel, the response to Amazing Atheist about the whole drama. And I realized that is what got me views. Is people came back because they were arguing in my comment section. They came back because they wanted to get their friends to downvote the video, and that counts as a view. And I was thinking about it. I was like, it is really hard not to do this every time.
Yeah. I've even thought about it, well, should I just jump on some sort of controversy? Yeah, because it's easy and you see a lot of people doing it, and I've refrained. I've been like, nope, I'm not going to get involved in this. But it is tempting for sure. Like I said, I've watched a majority of her videos. I don't think I've gotten them all, but the ones that I've run across, I've found them to be just very refreshing as far as hearing somebody with a rational response to the things that are around them. And there's one that stands out for me that that I wanted to ask you about, and of course, this is just sort of a free form, informal. Hey, let's chat about whatever. So of course
Mhm.
you can talk or not talk about whatever you like.
Sure.
But you had one where you were really angry at your parents.
Yeah, I think I unlisted that one for now, but that was a it was a bit of an issue. I mean, if you want to continue describing it for the rest of the people.
Well, I mean, and I don't want to go too far, right? So I'm just going to say that you had a real issue with apparently some conversation you were having with your mom,
Yeah.
and the response was, I mean, it was palpable anger, and like you could feel it coming through there,
You would have
and
felt it louder if I didn't compress it. There would have been more dynamics. But yeah, so what happened there was my mom had just found my YouTube channel because I guess she knew my Twitter account, and I changed it so that it would link to my videos, and it was branded that way and stuff like that. And she came across the videos and she was like, "Why you gotta talk about my religion? Why you gotta talk about this? Why you gotta talk about that?" And I was like, "I gotta talk about it because you won't let me talk about it. That's why." And so it was the people in the comments, they were just going, "Oh, you're just rebelling against your mother," because they were Muslim too and they weren't being challenged, so they didn't know how to respond to that. And they were attacking my voice, like come back when your balls drop, etc., etc. And yeah, the way that that video went was I didn't even really feel like making a video at that point. I just needed to get my thoughts out there in terms of if I don't talk about this, like I have no mouth and I must scream, kind of.
Right.
So I had to get it out there. I had to vent, and that video did pretty well as well. But I unlisted it because I felt like it's distracting in
Right.
terms of what I talk about on the channel. Usually, like obviously, I do talk about Islam and I talk about how I used to be a Muslim and things like that. But I felt like it was too personal to keep on the channel. I mean, I could put it back up any day; it's still uploaded, but you know.
Well, I can understand how it would feel slightly incongruent to the rest of your content. But it is at least from an outsider perspective of somebody who, barely knows you other than the videos that I've watched and a couple of interactions that we've had on Twitter. I will say that there is a realness there that is nice to hear. And it's also nice to hear somebody that is not necessarily apologizing for Islam or the way people are treated or just the feelings therein and stifled.
See, that's the
So
thing is, I grew up uh, in a liberal household, so they weren't really they used to force me to fast on Ramadan and all this stuff, and they would have if I kept lying to them and telling them that I was a Muslim. But then eventually, like 4 years after I said, "Hey, maybe this isn't really true," I told my dad, and I was like, "Hey, so by the way, I don't believe that thing that you've been trying to get me to believe my whole life." And he was just like, I guess, and no, actually, because I wouldn't say he just left it alone at that point, because I used to get emails from him with videos linking to proof of God, like these weird Christian explanations for how God exists
right,
because YouTube said so, and Jesus, and all these things. And that was close enough to his belief. I mean, without the whole like uh, kill all non-believers thing, but close enough to the way that he pictured it to send it to me and say, "Hey, believe this because it's true. This is what I believe."
well, it's a good thing
And
he didn't run across Adam Salah's channel then.
oh my god, oh my god, please no, please no. And so yeah, so one time I just responded with an email. I just said, "Hey, Dad, you've got your beliefs and I've got my lack thereof, and I think it's going to stay that way because I'm not going to convince you out of yours."
Right. And so you guys have an okay relationship after that?
I don't think we ever have. Not to get too
No.
personal or anything, but religion or not, uh, but he leaves me alone about it now. He doesn't like it, but he knows because I told him. I said, "You're not going to convince me into your beliefs, and I'm not going to convince you out of yours."
All right. So let's stray away from things that are quite that personal. And let me ask you how you feel about or how you view the things. And I understand that you are, not a Muslim, and but I'm sure that you have some insight into the belief structure, and because you were raised with it. Um, like the recent spate of things like in Australia, where you got people getting run over, and even before that, the truck of peace thing going on.
Mm.
Um, do you have some type of a reaction to it that is connected to your upbringing, or is it just, whatever?
I mean, there are a couple of videos where I mention that certain things that I was taught in childhood, like at Sunday school and things like that, are somehow actually pretty related to these things, these attacks. And like, there used to be this concept of, well, there is this concept of shaheed, which is the idea that if you die as a warrior for Allah, you go to heaven. Uh, just that's it. You go. I don't know if you wait for the judgment day or anything like that. You just go, which at it kind of explains how, when you think about brainwashing, you think about indoctrination, these people would be so ready to commit these acts. It's like unlimited whatever I want for the rest of eternity, for the afterlife, as they would say.
Right.
Sure, why not? Truck of peace, all that. And it's always been easy for me to think about how um, it's always been easy to link it. I've never had the problem like Reza Aslan goes on CNN and he's like, "Oh my God, you're linking the terrorist attacks to Islam? How dare you?" It's like, are you kidding? Have you read your own book, you dumbass?
That dude makes me crazy. Yeah. The other thing though about that, the whole, if you do this one thing, this absolves you of whatever sins you have. This gets you into heaven. This is a, you know, do not stop, do not go to jail, collect your $200. Right? This is, to me, explains why everyone that is a bad Muslim, right? The person with porn on their laptop, or the guy that was smoking and drinking, the guy that's at the gay club, the it explains why they would be bad Muslims, because
Yeah,
this is their salvation, right? To do this act, to do this horrible act, and
I noticed
everyone
that
wants to.
trend too. I was I I didn't really talk about it in any of my videos, but I did notice the fact that like these people who were transgressing against their own beliefs were also really, really into their beliefs to the point where they would do that just to make up for it.
Right. And I think that, the media wants to use those excuses as saying, well, look, it's not because Islam and terrorism and the link and all of that. It's these were just bad people. Let's not link, the faith to the act.
Yeah, I
And
remember that they I think it was the Daily Mail or the Telegraph or something. No, the Daily Mail, and they said that the driver of the truck in Nice, France, smoked, drank, and went to bars and stuff like that, which means he wasn't a Muslim. And I didn't really make that point in the video, but I did make the point that, oh, just because he messed up on some rules doesn't mean that the rest of the book was convincing.
right, I think that I don't know if it's willful ignorance on the part of the media to just say, well, let's not link these two things, but it sure seems to me that that is enough of a justification to be able to say, you know what, I am a bad Muslim and I'm not getting into to collect my virgins any other way, or olives, depending on whatever how you translate it, um, except through being a warrior, being a jihadist. And so I'm curious if it's just they totally ignore it on purpose, or if they're just nobody's realizing that there is a real pattern here.
I mean, a lot of people are very much focused on the narrative, the fact that they some of them believe that, at least the useful idiots believe, that you can't do wrong as a Muslim because the Muslim faith is oppressed, and the people who follow it are. And so because of that prism, they absolve it of everything, no matter what, and they say that it can't be responsible for anything that it pretty easily is responsible for. I also think that there's an element, and this is completely unverified. I just think that there's probably an element of money, uh, probably some money being exchanged to keep the reputation pretty sound. Yeah, I mean, outside of all the attacks and things like that, but um,
There's certainly a lot of apologies going on, though, as far as, everyone's really quick to say, like even the guy in Australia yesterday, where even though apparently he was, screaming Allahu Akbar, while running people over. They're saying this is not a terrorism event. And I find it really, really hard to be like, yeah, and I try, I really do try to keep an open mind about this. And then, yeah, sure, it could be just some crazy dude doing this, but there is an awful lot of tangential stuff that you can tie all back to a single point of origin, and it's just like, come on, man, just stop it. And I don't get it. I don't get it with first of all, I don't understand religion. All right, I've never been a religious person. My parents tried to, take me to church and stuff when I was a kid, but I was just like, you know what? The same for me. I don't believe in any of this. And I'm like, where's the proof? Show me, show me where this actually happened, because this sounds really allegorical to me.
The thing is, even when I did believe, or I mean, I guess that's the word for it, because I was the most inquisitive kid in the classroom, to the point where I got kicked out of Sunday school every week until they kicked me out for good.
Got
I was
expelled from
I
Sunday
was
school.
saying, this is, yeah, expelled from Sunday school. Isn't that great? It's like, I got free Sundays now, I guess. But what happened was, I was asking about the story where the Prophet Muhammad rides a flying horse that just ascends to heaven to speak to God or something like that. And I said,
Right.
wouldn't it make more sense for this story if God came down? Because then that erases the whole thing. Like, it doesn't have to be believed, because people would have seen it, you
Right.
know? Why get on a horse if it's going to fly? Wouldn't you use a flying animal? Wouldn't that flying animal need to be able to carry the prophet? Like, I was just like, yo, this doesn't make sense with this. This is like really bad storytelling. And I got kicked out of the classroom a couple times. So I ended up only going to learn Arabic, because they also offered that as a class, but
Of course.
not for the Quranic recitals, and not for the religious, like just the background stories and stuff like that.
Huh. And, I notice you don't, I mean, a lot of your visit videos tend to be more kind of broad in, here's a belief system that's got some issues, right? Typically feminism, stuff like that. Um, and I like that part. I like the part that you kind of, you take the time to sort of deal with the issue of problem solving, as opposed to, instead of just saying, well, you know what, you're fucking stupid for thinking this. And coming across in your videos as in, explain this to me because I don't get it, right? Explain to me why you think this, because this is how I see it. And I like that back and forth that you have. So um do you intentionally, keep your videos to specific subjects, or is this sort of whatever strikes you at the time?
It's mostly the whole uh, social justice apologism thing that you're mentioning. And uh, so when it comes to feminism, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when it comes to Islam and the people who are championing it as like this religion of peace and all that, I just talk about the things that really, you know what it is for me? The things that I didn't know until I looked into them, because the world lies to you about it. They tell you, oh, feminism is about equality. They tell you about how Black Lives Matter is about police brutality and about equality in police. What is it? Interactions, police interactions. No, none of these things are true. So, and these are things that I used to believe. Also, the religion, same thing. It's just that was probably the longest running thing that I used to think was true that wasn't. Um, I used to think that feminism was about equality back in high school. I used to think that Black Lives Matter was about equality maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
By the way,
So,
your Black Lives Matter video was awesome. I really enjoyed the time you took to go into the numbers and deal with that stuff. That was very good.
yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, I just decided if you're not going to be honest about the issue, I can't believe that you want to solve it.
Right. Is there any other let me ask you a couple just random questions then. Where does the name the Pink Pistol come from?
Oh my God. I keep getting into fights with people because they keep thinking that I mean that it's a euphemism for penis or something like that. And that I meant to because I'm anti feminist and I'm just the penis running around, just the patriarchy slapping everybody in the face with my dick. And no,
Just for
I
the
had
record, I
no
never thought that.
intention. I was working in GIMP because I don't like Photoshop anymore because they changed too much of it. And so I was just playing with a picture of a gun on the internet. I was like, hey, there's a picture of a gun. I didn't even know I was going to use it for this specific YouTube channel. I thought, hey, maybe I'll do gaming or something. And I realized that's really expensive to get started into. And so I come up with the logo. I don't have a name. I realized that the color and the object alliterate. So it's the Pink Pistol. And I'm like, that could be catchy. I'll just do that. And so I name it the Pink Pistol. And then I find out a couple months later, or maybe 6 or 7 months later, and then I hear about the Pink Pistols gay rights, gun rights group. And people start confusing me with them and coming to my channel thinking that I'm one of them and that I'm gay and that I support gay gun rights. And it's like, yeah, I do, but I'm not one of them.
Yeah, you can be gay and have a pistol all you want, but
Yes, see, that's the things I don't get it about it because like that's the thing I don't understand about it is that illegal?
yeah, I don't think so. Maybe in Texas,
You're
I don't
under
know.
arrest for possession while gay. Possession of a firearm while homosexual. Like no. But the thing is like maybe it's just about awareness in terms of like you don't have to be like a scared little leftist in your corner talking about how guns are bad because you might need to defend yourself as a
Right.
gay person. I completely understand that. So I support the movement, the idea of it, but I didn't even know that it existed for the first few months that I was making videos. And
Nice.
so many people thought I was gay. Also, I don't know if I sound that way. I just, I
I
was worried
Like
that
you don't
that's
sound that
why.
way to me. I never got that feeling from you. Um, and I never even I thought it maybe had something to do with your music
No,
because
the
you.
music, I've been making music for a long time, but I did make the SoundCloud name the Pink Pistol after I had the brand set up for the channel, just because I didn't want to share my old music or any music under the old names I used to use
You
because
end
it
up with
probably
a
would have
bearing
linked me to my
situation.
real name.
Yeah, you end up with a situation like Bearing where they find
Yeah,
music.
people found his old music and they linked it to his name, and then yeah. So I didn't even realize the whole bearing thing, but I just didn't want that to happen to me, and so I
Yeah,
upload something every once in a while on that channel, on that SoundCloud page.
well, send me the links and I'll put them in the description so we can put that stuff in there. And yeah, it's like I said, I very much enjoy your channel, and I wanted to have an actual conversation with you to kind of, get a better feel for who you were. Not that my little 30 subscribers is going to help you out at all,
Oh
but
come on! Oh come
but
on! It's not about that, man.
no, but I mean, I understand that we all do this for a reason, right? And yours is, similar to mine in the fact that this is way cheaper than therapy.
Absolutely.
I get an opportunity.
Absolutely.
I get an opportunity to vent and say, well, this is what I think is wrong with the world. And beyond that, you know, I have a daughter, right? And I see what she watches on YouTube. And and some of this is to counteract that. These are practice conversations that I can have in a very open, uncensored way with the internet, to which I will then pare that down into a parental version that I'll have a conversation with my daughter.
I definitely see that. Like, I've used points that I've made in my videos because a lot of the times I make my videos completely spur of the moment. I just want to talk about the thing, and then I come up with a point, and then I realize, hey, that sounds pretty good. I should use that the next time I talk about this. And so the video is kind of like a rehearsal of my argument
Yeah.
at
And
the
that's how I
same
treat it
time
as
as
well.
people are hearing it for the first time.
And so, and I don't have an opportunity, because we were talking before the stream started, it's like my job doesn't really allow me an opportunity to uh, sort of voice my opinion. And I have to censor myself a lot during the day. And so this is an opportunity for me to see these things that I see on the internet, or things that I interact with in the real world, or things that I see that my daughter's up against, where she has a conversation with me asking me about something. And I have to sit there and take a moment, right? And be like, how can I put this in such a way that first of all, I'm not going to scar my daughter. Secondly, that it's going to make sense. And then thirdly, I need to make sure that I understand the issue. And
When a
so a
man and a
lot,
woman love each other very much,
yes,
dot, dot, dot.
it's more along the lines of, I want to make sure that I truly understand where I sit with the issue. And it takes a moment of introspection, and 40 minutes of me ranting to the microphone so I can edit it down to 6 or 7 minutes of something that hopefully makes sense at the end of it all. And then that way I can sort of pare things down and be like, okay, this is the answer that I truly want to give you, and here's the reason why. These are my beliefs, and this is why I believe that. And because I've never been somebody to talk to my child like she's a child, right? I've always been like, I'm going to talk to you like an adult, and I'm going to give it to you straight, and you can take this and do with it what you like. And because I just can't handle it when people lie to their kids. And sure, there are things that I omit, right? Because certain things
Filter,
kids don't
yeah.
need to know.
It's a
But
filter.
at the same time, it's not like I'm not gonna lie to her. And because I'm not good at the lying bit. I don't lie to anybody, and it's one of my faults in
Same
in
here.
some ways. So yeah, my motivation is that I've I'm probably considerably older than you, and I've been around a bit, and I've lived all over the world, and I've seen the world from very different perspectives throughout my life. And I wanted to be able to take a very well-rounded set of experiences that I've had, and put them out there as a voice of reason, or a call to action for change, but not do it in such a way that is, you're a fucking idiot. Because there's plenty of channels out there that will just call you names that
I
will hurt
st-
your feelings.
I don't hesitate to call people names if it just rolls off the tongue that way. If I'm in the middle of a sentence and I say you fucking dumbass.
Right, of course. What I'm saying is that there are channels out there that are dedicated to manufacturing the insults. And
Yeah.
I think that if there is um, and it's okay to tell somebody how you really feel. But I think that there's like, you think of the atheist gamer, for example, right?
Yeah.
Right. This guy, he, first of all, he's not smart enough to come up with anything that is remotely funny. But what he comes up with is you can feel this dude's inner hate for himself in his videos. And I think that there's a certain amount of, well, that's his only outlet, is to being a dick because somebody hurt him one time or many times throughout his lifetime with words. And he thinks that's the only way you can have some type of an outlet, is to call somebody else names, to attack them on a personal level, to make them feel small. And I would much rather, even if I do find somebody to be just a deplorable person, to be able to say, listen, you are kind of a fucktard, but here's how you can fix that. And try to at least offer some advice. And it just, or at least be at the very least, as long as it's truly funny and not simply based in hate, I'm totally happy with that. Anyway, I was ranting
Speaking
for
of funny,
no apparent reason, but
speaking of funny,
yeah.
do you how long has it been since Internet Aristocrat or Mr. Medica or whatever? How long has it been since he's done a video or a stream or something like that? Because it feels like it's been about a year.
Well, it's been longer than that for Internet Aristocrat
Well,
because
of course, yeah, because that channel's been gone for what, 2 years?
yeah, 2 or 3 years now, right? And from what I hear, dude, like, he starts a new channel, gets very popular, and just shuts it down and then starts over.
I
And
don't see the point in that, honestly. Seems like tedious. Seems like a lot of effort for just the thrill of gaining your subscribers back. You might as well just play a cookie clicker game or something.
I don't know, maybe he's looking for greater descent. Maybe he just doesn't like the fame that goes along with it.
Mm. But I mean, like, people find his channel. They know what he sounds like. They know he's from fucking Minnesota. They know his fucking accent. They know that he's funny as hell.
He is funny.
Oh man, remember Mr. Medica versus Dean Esme?
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh my goodness. It is the funniest because Dean Esme comes on and he's a Christian, Christian men's rights activist, which is when he talks about men's rights, I am completely on board for everything that he has to say, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie about that. But he comes on, and I got into an argument with him on Twitter about this too. And he is wildly ideological Christian, super believer, thinks that atheism is just as much a religion in the fact that people call themselves one thing and they happen to all call themselves that thing.
I love that
Now
false
I'm
equivalence.
not I'll be the first to admit that there are people and there are groups of people who identify as atheists who create who have belief systems that aren't based in skepticism and truth and things like that.
Right. They're dogmatic atheists.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, I know this because I know this. That's not how you know things. So I understand that that is a possibility, but he claims that atheism is a social justice construct. So that even if you're against social justice, if you happen to be an atheist, you're part of the problem, according to him.
Wow. That's some gymnastics, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, but on topic, the video that he was, the stream that he jumped on for Mr. Medica, he was claiming that the Cologne attacks on New Year's, what was it, a year or two ago? And he was claiming not to blame Muslims for the whole thing because women can lie about being raped.
Oh my God.
So yeah, he was bringing the men's rights argument into it, which I completely understand. Women can lie about being raped and do a lot of the time.
At least enough of the time.
Enough of the time to remain skeptical about the claims, which, I mean, you should anyway. But I would rather believe that you weren't raped. I don't want that to happen to anybody.
Right.
So, like, so he makes these outlandish points, and then he starts calling Mr. Medica names. Like, he calls him a douchebag, and he calls him an asshole, and his voice cracks in the middle of it, and he starts making fun of him for his voice cracking.
I'm gonna
I
have to
think he
find that
calls
one
him
and
a
watch it.
penis at some point in the stream. It's so funny.
I'm gonna have to find that and watch it. I mean,
I'll send you a link. It's really fun.
he is truly sort of my initial inspiration for doing any of this stuff. because I had just run across Tumblr because, I was trying to figure out, well, should my kid be doing this or not? And the answer is firmly no.
Oh, absolutely not. There is
And,
nothing redeemable on Tumblr.
and,
Nothing but scary bronies and genders.
but it started me down this thought path, right? And it, oddly enough, now that we're talking about it, it brought me to this whole idea of rape culture.
Hmm.
And, and I was just like, okay, what is this rape culture that everyone's talking about? And I got into this argument with a Facebook friend in my real life, right? So this argument spurred the creation of this channel. And she was going on about rape culture, how we truly live in a rape culture, and I came back and I said, no, we don't, and it turned into this large multi-page argument. But it came down to, at least for me, is that, yeah, you can go ahead and believe that this is a rape culture. You can do that all you want, but there are some downsides to you doing that. And one of which is that you instill fear in every other woman around you by brainwashing them, by indoctrinating them into saying everyone is out to either rape you or deny that rape ever occurred. And it's just a man's world where the men are after you. And I'm like, how do you think that benefits women to live in a culture of fear rather than to look at the real numbers and to say that, first of all, this is a fairly rare occurrence. And then secondly, she was going on about, well, cops asking you what you're wearing when why would they need to know that? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe to collect DNA evidence, maybe to correlate or corroborate your story with a witness. Maybe they're going to say, well, did you see this person? What were they wearing? There's
Also,
more.
security footage, things like that.
Yeah, and there's more to it than just your sensibility or your uh, being afraid that you're going to be called a slut, right? Because that's not what it's about. Law enforcement has no interest in whether or not you happen to be, promiscuous, even if that is relevant at all, right? So law enforcement is interested in the facts. So just give them the facts. And what really angered me is that they were talking about discouraging women from reporting to police and instead going to shelters or rape crisis centers rather than calling the cops. And then in the same breath, wanting to be able to complain that rapists aren't getting arrested. And it's like, well, you just took away the only real tool you had, which was law enforcement.
That's the thing is I believe, like, I have a strong belief, which is weird to say as someone who doesn't really have religious beliefs, but I do have a strong belief that the reason they do that is to inflate numbers, to say that only this many of rapes get convicted because this is how many that were reported to shelters, and then this is how many that were reported to law enforcement. And the only ones that are going to go through are the ones that are reported to law enforcement. So if you encourage everyone not to, then no rapists are going to be caught and punished. So this is something that plays into their hand. They can say, "Oh my God, we live in a rape culture."
I mean, this just occurred to me, so it's not a fully formed thought, but I mean, doesn't it sort of feel like also like a control mechanism, right? It's like, don't go to the police. You come to us. We will be your friends. We are the people that got your back. Nobody else does. You can't trust them. And
it's
there's
like
this
those little goop things in Futurama that they just sit on your head and then you can't think for yourself anymore.
Yeah, and
I'm wondering
if there's a certain amount of, well, we are the true help. We are your only friends. You need to stay in our cliquey little group. And
that's definitely what connects it to like cult behavior and things like that. It's like, join us. The law enforcement is just gonna fuck you, and they're just gonna waste your time, and they're just gonna rape you even more. They're gonna rape you a second time. They hate women only.
Well, I've had a long-standing belief that, like, the Dworkinite feminists, they're I think that they exist purely on rage and hate, and they want every other woman to be just as miserable as they are, so they're like, join our group.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of that because most people, well, I would say most women, well, no, actually, no, just most people in general probably become feminists because their lives are miserable. They have to have something to blame. If a man joins feminism, it's because uh, he is an inadequate man. And so he has to challenge our views of men, which come from biology, and blame it on socialization and TV shows and commercials and things like that, and blame it on the way that we're seen in society. And the same thing that happens with women is if women aren't woman enough, uh, they do the same thing. So they jump into feminism and say gender roles shouldn't exist because I don't fit them. And I'm all for saying, okay, so if a guy wants to stay home, let him stay home if the woman wants to work. If the woman doesn't want to work, I think man up. And I know it's a little old school of me to say that, but
Well, we'll talk
um,
after the stream about the next video I'm working on, and maybe you and I can get together on that one.
sure.
Um, but speaking of inadequate men and women, I'm going to give you a choice here of who we're going to talk about next. So you got your choice of Riley Dennis or Francesca Ramsey.
Oh, why you gotta make it so juicy? Oh man. Well, I despise both of them. That's the thing. Is like I've gotten into Twitter arguments with Francesca Ramsey.
I got
Um,
blocked, and I've never even had a conversation with her.
I got blocked because I was having a discussion because I watched the Vernaculus video where he responds to her and she says, "Because of my skin color, I'm less likely to get a job, an education, or a place to live, or a car, or something like that." And I said, "You graduated from college, absolutely, because look at you. You work at MTV, that's your job. So education and job taken care of, which means she's got to live somewhere nice, and she's black, so she debunks herself, her existence debunks her argument." And so I tell
Right?
her this on Twitter, and she's like, "Oh, you just don't understand. That's not the point I was making. I was saying some people," which isn't what she said in the video, which is fine. She's allowed to lie. But and then somebody comes in, and I was, that old game, Stormfront or SJW, where you can't tell which side of the horseshoe that these people are on.
Right. It's sort of like the not the onion.
Um, Somebody comes in and says, "Oh, this bitch is married to a white man." So I couldn't tell if it was like a white nationalist or a black supremacist trying to say that like this race mixing idea is bad. And I think it turned out that it was a black supremacist that she married out of her race.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell those apart without context.
And then I got blocked because I was tagged in those tweets as well. So even though I completely disagreed with that, I was like, "What are you talking about? I don't care who she married, you idiot."
And the thing is, I've watched a lot of Francesca's backlog, right? Her older work. And I mean, you can tell that there's a certain amount of. Did you see the video recently that guy T did about why black people hate white people?
No, no, I think I missed that one.
It came out like yesterday, or day before.
Yeah.
And he has this really great sort of storytelling about himself where he says, "Let me tell you the household that I was raised in. I had no interaction with white people. And I was constantly taught that, black people are looking for a reason, or white people are looking for a reason to hold me down, right? Keep me from succeeding." And you can see that there is some type of that happening in the background of Francesca Ramsey. Right? It just by the way she speaks about the whole race issue. I have a really hard time. I'm wondering, because she is married to a white guy. I'm curious, how does that relationship go? I mean,
I
uh,
mean, there are guys who date and marry feminists. I'm I would imagine it's something like the idea how scientists can sort of compartmentalize religion into their lives as well. I think it's sort of like they can carry a resentment for the person but ignore it for the fact that they have to have the relationship and they're already in it. And
It must be some awkward conversations at Christmas, though.
yeah, like oh, how's that privilege doing for you? Like things like that.
I see you exercise your privilege to get me gifts. Thank you. All right. So how about Riley Dennis then?
Oh my God. Okay, so what about Riley Dennis?
So there's the obvious things like, all right, dude openly states he's male and he's a lesbian, but identifies as a woman. And there's got to be some awkward conversations happening as well.
I think that happened over some period of time where he decided that he wanted to transition. Because you notice right now he's probably training his voice to sound higher. They go through a process where they go higher and higher and higher until it becomes naturally
Right.
like just sounds like a woman.
Maybe he's doing it in post, though.
Could have done that in post. Yeah, maybe he's editing his videos to sound more female. I'm sure.
I'll tell you right now, auditorially speaking, I will never pass as a woman.
Of course. I mean, I could pull the Valley Girl accent off and probably confuse a few people, but but yeah. So the
But
thing with him, her, that's the issue I have is if you look like a guy, I'm probably going to call you a male. I'm gonna go with my gut because I'm supposed to.
right, you're sort of biologically programmed to do so.
Mhm.
And
So
the whole
yeah.
idea of preferred pronouns just bothers the crap out of me. And and first of all, pronouns aren't for you, right? Pronouns are for everyone else, and that's how that works. All right, pronouns are not it's not a way that you dictate that other people refer to you. Pronouns are the way other people are going to generalize about you. And so the idea that you have any control over that just baffles me.
Yeah, I uploaded a clip from Jordan Peterson's debate at I think it was at a college in Toronto or something, and he makes this point who like who decided that all of a sudden the thing that I call you means that I'm respecting you or disrespecting you. It would mean that because if you were saying that if I call you a she, that I'm disrespecting you because you look like a she, you would imply that I'm respecting you when I call you a he because you look like a he and you are. Like if I get it right, I'm respecting you. No, I'm just referring to you. So, and then he makes the other point. It's like, well, then also, who are you to tell me what to tell you?
Right.
You don't get to do that.
Yeah, the idea that and one of the big problems I have with social justice warriors as a whole is this imprecision of language, right? This idea that language can be molded to fit the narrative rather than language being used to describe things as they are. And it really bothers me. It's like, why would you
Well, that's
change the
intentional.
definition? Yeah, why would you change the definition of racism, for an example? Or why would you change the definition of rape when these things are, first of all, both horrible things that everyone in the world should understand the definition of? But when you go and start changing definitions at will and making it something that it's actually not, like especially with the whole prejudice plus power thing, then you're really doing your entire agenda a disservice. Stupid.
I think it actually helps them because they get to be the guys who are like, oh, and I'm going to tell you what this means. The lazy ones, the useful idiots, usually default to it's not my job to educate you.
Oh my
But
God.
otherwise, they're really enthusiastic about educating people because that means they're right, and they get to feel superior about it.
Yeah, they're happy to educate anyone that agrees with them.
And the thing is, most people will. Most people are agreeable, and they want to feel like, oh yeah, I understand. I can get with this. I'm hip. I'm cool. I can agree. I don't want to hurt anybody. So they prey on that sort of natural willingness to understand that most people try to possess, and they use it to lie. They use it to say that racism means prejudice plus privilege. They use it to say that sexism means prejudice plus privilege. They don't use it to say, well, here are our beliefs and here's why you should agree with us. They use it to say this is how it is.
Right. And that's what
And
got
if
me
you don't
thinking
agree
about
with us, you're one of them.
that's what got me thinking about the Riley Dennis thing, because that latest video of his where he's just like, there are certain ideas that shouldn't be part of discourse because they're proven, and then tried to go on to the whole,
That's what was that? Yeah.
well, he tried to
The
go on
flat
with
earth.
the flat earther bit.
That's the kind of thing that gets you what's going on in Germany right now, where people get arrested for denying the Holocaust. Like, you can deny the Holocaust all you want, and I'll call you dumb. I'll say it's one of the most well-recorded genocides in all of history, and the facts are there. You can deny it all you want. You have the freedom to do so, and you have the freedom to convince other people that that's true. Even if it's not. But like, the validity of the ideas doesn't mean that those are the only ones you're allowed to talk about, because that's what freedom of speech is. Because if you have a populace that agrees on something, that automatically makes it the truth in that case.
Well, and I don't think that if you remove the ability to have discourse, right? If you remove vocabulary, if you remove if you essentially become thought police, right? You're going to go from what Germany is now to something like North Korea, right? Where you are not allowed to think the wrong thing or say the wrong thing and believe the wrong thing. I mean, how else can you have, millions of people believe that, this fat little fucker is a god, and
He doesn't poop.
and he doesn't poop, right? And that he has invented all things. And so there's this, he was the original Kangs. And so, how that's what happens when you start taking away people's ability to speak and to be able to speak the right. And it's okay to be stupid, right? And it's okay to be a Holocaust denier if that's what you are. But at the same time, all right, you should be able to accept the fact that here's a different idea and that you might be wrong. And I try to maintain that with everything. If somebody were to come to me with legitimate evidence and say, this is my real evidence for why the Holocaust didn't happen, I would at the very least entertain the idea and hear their evidence out and then try to figure out whether or not that's real.
The thing about it is, the thing about when you silence a Holocaust denier, you've just validated his opinion. You've just made it, okay, what is he trying to say? Why do you not want me to hear it?
Right. It's the same people that
Even if
go
it's
on
crazy.
about chemtrails and all that bullshit, right? As soon as you shut them down, it's just like, well, this is why 9/11 was an inside job. This is why, it makes everything that is conspiratorial in nature, it gives it weight, because obviously they don't want the truth out. They want to silence it.
Yeah. And you have to worry about why. Why do they want to silence it? Now, in Germany's case, usually people understand that it's just because they don't want to stoke the same things that led to 1942, 1930s Germany, things like that.
I don't think silencing it is the right way to go. I mean,
No,
a good
but
conversation.
they're doing it the wrong way, but that's why they're doing it. Definitely, that's why. So
you've got all this stuff across Europe where people are being arrested for talking badly about immigrants.
Yeah, it's sort of the new version of that, I think. I think it's the new version of denying the Holocaust, is denying the fact that immigration is good for the country, denying the idea that that refugees are actually refugees. And
crazy.
so what you have to do is you have to ask Germany, okay, so why are these people not allowed to talk about it? You got the people being arrested over Facebook posts and things like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and the guy that got arrested because he said harsh things to someone that was shooting people.
Oh my goodness. I didn't hear about that
Yeah,
actually.
that when they had the shooter in I believe it was in Germany, and the guy was they're walking down the street shooting people. This one guy stopped and started screaming at him, called him a terrorist, and then said mean words to him, and so they arrested him.
Any word on the arrest status of of the terrorist?
I believe the terrorist was arrested also, but I wouldn't be surprised if the person saying bad words probably got a harsher sentence.
That is that hurts. That really hurts. Is that the
I'll
kind
see
of
if I can
world we
find.
live in right now?
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Like I know you're probably kidding about the harsher sentence thing, but yeah, I believe it.
You know, and I'm only half kidding about that because you know the track record for immigrants getting any type of real punishment is pretty low. It seems to be that only the people that are upset about the immigrants get the real harsh sentences. So, I mean, there was that guy that got was convicted of raping a bunch of girls, and then it got overturned on appeal because he was an immigrant. And so it's there's definitely a double standard there that the citizenry of Europe is probably not going to tolerate for too long. But who knows? You know, with today's climate of, well, we should just be open and accepting. And you touched on something earlier, by the way, and this will kind of reach back to that, where, well, like with Black Lives Matter and all of that, where the the people that are following it just they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They want to be nice. They want to solve the pain for the other group. And I think that in regards to immigration and Black Lives Matters, and in some cases the crazy feminists, because not all are crazy, but there are definitely
Hashtag
some.
not all.
Yeah, hashtag not all. There is, I think that there is a preying on of the kindness, which at some point the kindness does become weakness, and people just want to like help the people that are being oppressed, help the people that are living in a war zone, help all of the people that just happen to be brown because they're being oppressed. And I think that there's I feel that their heart's in the right place, but it seems to
Yeah,
circumvent all logic.
I think I think that's an important reason why I do YouTube as well. And a lot of these channels that they tackle like every big video that comes out with the feminism thing, and people accuse them of just doing it for the views, and like, oh, they're just hijacking this popular video so they know other people will watch theirs. I think the most popular ones are probably the most important ones to tackle, though. And I don't do that. I don't usually go out chasing really important, really big, well received videos on feminism unless they're really bad arguments and I have something to say about them. But there are channels who do that, and people accuse them of just doing it for the views. I think it's if their arguments are right, I don't care what their motives are. I think if their arguments are better than the arguments in the person they're responding to, that's what I want to see. I want to see everybody who can make videos because I want every particular angle on an issue that I can get.
Right. Well, like you spoke about with the vernaculus video earlier, and how you responded by saying, well, these are the points you didn't cover. And when you see these large collaborative videos, or you see a series of videos about one particular video, it's nice to be able to see, well, I didn't think of that aspect of it. And it's nice to be able to understand how people from different backgrounds or from different experiences of their life, how they respond and react to these types of things that they're seeing in the world. And I think it's a beautiful sight. And even though some of them are, lowbrow, or some of them are just terrible, but it's still nice to see that that people are looking at this from their own point of view, putting out their point of view into the world and hoping that something good comes of it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it backfires. Like, I'll watch a video and I'll be like, why didn't I think of that?
I think of that a lot. I was like, oh, I should have covered
Damn
that.
it, that's a good point.
And
I
I
should have
don't get
said
on
that.
I don't get on the real popular ones mainly because I have a job. So, it's like by the time I can get around to actually recording and editing and publishing, I mean, it's way too late in the cycle. And so oftentimes I sort of lose motivation to deal with those larger videos. But there have been some, like a lot of the BuzzFeed videos, I responded to a couple of those, even though they've been out there forever. It's just like this is such a special brand of stupid that everyone needs to respond to BuzzFeed videos.
I think that they only exist to be response fodder because they get a lot of views, obviously, but they're usually really awful. I think that they are sort of trolling for views sometimes. I know that they believe this shit, I really do, but I think that they're putting it out there and they're being obtuse and sort of like crazy about their views
Let's
because they
trigger the
know it's going to get that.
non-SJW.
Let's trigger the anti-SJWs. Exactly. Let's trigger everybody. Let's get some response videos made and popularize this one because they're just going to link to it in there.
That's some epic level trolling if that's the case.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. They got that far. Why not?
I guess, yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on here and doing this with me. And
No worries, man.
I like I said, I very much respect your work, and I appreciate you for doing what you do and putting your message out there. And I just wanted an opportunity to express that, and as well as get an opportunity to know you a little bit better, and perhaps maybe the viewers will learn a little bit more about you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate coming on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. And so everyone, take an opportunity to subscribe to Pink Pistol and hopefully me.
Buy my shirts. I have a shirt. It's not very good, but it's a shirt.
It's not a bad looking shirt, man. I saw your shirt. So yeah, buy a shirt, all right? Because some of us we have to make a living somehow. And but more importantly, subscribe, listen to the message, and you know what? Contribute. Put your videos out there too, and let's have a conversation.
Yes, the more videos, the better. It's
Right,
like I've replaced TV with it, so the more content I have to watch, the better.
well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming on, and we'll go ahead and stop it here.